This is part 11 of Microsoft Access videos, and in this part we're going to start looking at a last piece of the puzzle that we did not discuss in the previous videos. So let me give you a brief overview of what we did so far. In the first, I believe, 3 videos we discussed how the Microsoft Access organizes the data storage. In other words, tables. So we created a few tables, linked them with each other, and populated with dummy data. In the next several videos, we discussed input mechanism for Microsoft Access, and that happens in terms of forms. So in other words, users do not really enter information directly into the tables of the database, but they use user-friendly user forms that they contain a lot of controls such as labels, text boxes, combo boxes, buttons, and a lot of others that we didn't actually consider. So forms is just a mechanism how users indirectly can enter information into the tables or storage. And then in the few last videos we looked at processing, and that has the form of SQL queries. So we looked at 4 different types of SQL queries. Insert queries that create new records, update queries that update existing records, delete queries that delete existing records, and most powerful of all of them, select queries. And we looked at how we select information from 1 table, from 2 tables, 3 tables, and we can join actually any number of tables. So database can be very complex, but we still should be able to pull the data from multiple tables together. Okay, so the last piece of the Microsoft Access that we still did not look at is output. And output is done by the virtue of reports. So reports are supposed to be, they're printable first of all. So in other words, on the screens, every time when I run the report, I should see a well-organized document that is ready for to be sent to the printer. So let's start the reports with very simple and basic one. Okay. For example, let's say I want to create a report that simply lists all of my employees. A printout that lists their names, social security numbers, position that they hold in my company, and their billing rate. That's pretty much the content of my table employees, right? First name, last name, social security number if I want to, position title, and the billing rate. Okay, so as you know, everything that we can do with Microsoft Access is located on the tab Create. So we use this group of buttons to create tables. We used these groups of buttons to create forms. We used, well, primarily this button to design queries. So the last portion of these videos, we're going to be using this group of tools to create the reports. So I'm going to use Report Wizard. I was going to create a report in one click of a button, but probably will go long route. Okay, Report Wizard. So I'm going to click on the table employees and start the Report Wizard. And Report Wizard, just like any wizard, has several steps that guide us through the process of creation and configuration of a report. So it says that you can use anything really out of group of tables or queries. We can use tables, clients, employees, work completed, or any query that we created so far. So queries can be used actually as the source of the data for the report. And we will use this fact in the next video when we will create a billing summary report. We'll use the 3-table join query for that. Okay, but for right now, let's just create a simple listing of all employees. So I'm going to use all the fields except maybe employee ID because I don't have particular interest in this number. I'm going to remove that from the list of selected fields and click proceed to the next step. Here I can group employees by, for example, position or billing rate or even their last name. Well, that grouping would make much sense to me at that point, right? I don't want really to group my employees. If there was a department, for example, right, and some employees were working in sales and distribution, some employees were working in purchasing, some in accounting, and I had multiple listing for each department, and I could group that by department. So it would create a nice list of sections for me, or department listings. Okay, but right now it's just a listing, so I'm going to skip that and not add any grouping level. We will do that actually for our next report, for the billing summary. All right, so I'm going to click next. Do you want to sort the records? Well, you can skip it, or you can say, well, let's sort them by last name, and within last name, let's also sort them by the first name. Well, there's not much to sort. I have only 2 employees, so next. And here you can have either portrait, vertical orientation, or landscape, horizontal. Let's keep it portrait, for example. Next one, we're going to do the horizontal orientation. Just fields so that all of them fit on the page. That's probably a nice feature to have. So next. And this is the last step. How do I want to title my report? How about I'm going to call it employees listing. Okay, and then I click finish, and you can see that this is my report. It's actually ready to print as of right now, so it immediately gives me a printable form. So Microsoft Office products, as you know, they fall into the category of software. What you see is what you get, right? What you see on this is how the report will come out on the printer. Well, I don't want to print it like that quite yet, because first of all, you can see there are weird underscores, right? Then what's ing rate? It's probably billing rate, but it was cut off. The dollar sign also cut off, I can see that. So right now it's not probably that great of a report. So I'm going to close out the print preview. What I want to emphasize is we created 3 tables, and on the left they're all showing in the navigational pane. I'm going to collapse that. Then we created a bunch of queries. They're all showing as group of queries. I'm going to collapse that. Then we created a few forms. I'm going to collapse that. And now, when we just created the employees listing report, we actually added another group in the navigational pane of the reports. And right now there is only one of them that I just created, employees listing. Okay, let me close property sheet. Okay, so this is my report in the design view. So just like forms, it has the design view. Now let's talk a little bit about what we see. If you remember, let me open up any form, a simple form for clients, for example. Okay. And if I switch to the design view, if you remember how the forms are organized, there is a form header that shows up on the top of the form. There is a form footer that shows up at the bottom of the form, and there is a form main section, which is called details. Now, forms also, you can see, are using controls, and we discussed that in earlier videos, right? So there are label controls. They're just simply for display purposes. There are button controls. You can click them and something happens on the click, right? Then there are text boxes that take input from the user. So you can click inside the text box and type information, and it will be saved into the table of a database. And also, I believe on a more complicated form, we had something that we called combo box, right? So let's see it in the design view. Here is your combo box. It's also one of the controls, and it allows you to pick one of the options that is populated inside of the combo. Right? So that was a little bit of recall about the forms. Now let's take a look at how reports are different or similar with forms. Well, you can see that. Let me make it a little bigger. You can see that. First of all, report also, just like form, has a report header and probably, right there, report footer, okay? And there is a detail section right in the middle. So detail section displays the information for us, the information that we are printing the report for, okay? So this is pretty much the content. But report, as you can see, has additional header and additional footer. Right now footer is not showing up. Oh no, it does actually show up, right? Page footer. So there is a page header and there is a page footer. So why does the report have an additional two sections? Well, the reason being, right now I have only 2 employees, so they on the printout they fit on one page. But what if I have 250 employees? On the printout they will not fit on one page. So the report will span several pages. Okay, so reports have additional couple of sections, page header and page footer, that show up on the top of every page and on the bottom of every page. Well, report header shows up only once on the printout. It's on the top of page number 1. Report footer on the printout shows up also only once, and that is at the bottom of the last page, okay, as opposed to page header and page footer that repeat themselves on every page of the report. Okay. Now, as you can see, actually, let's go ahead and let's see, where is that property sheet. Let's go ahead and click on the button property sheet. Okay. So in the report header, I have something that says employees listing, and in the property sheet, I can see that this is a label. So this is our good old friend label. It's a control that we used on the forms earlier. What is that? That is a text box. These are also labels. So you can see that reports are using same controls as the forms. The only difference is now if I look at the report in the report view, I cannot click, well, I can click, but if I try to type anything, it says this control cannot be edited. Reports are read only. Okay, so that's the similarity between reports and forms. Reports, the reason why they display information for us is they have the same controls as the forms. They have labels, they have text boxes. We probably do not need buttons because we can't click on them. Reports are read only, right? Combo boxes we're also not probably going to use in the reports because combos imply interaction with them. We click and we select what's inside the combo, right? So since reports are read only, pretty much the only things that we will use ever on the report are labels and text boxes, okay? But again, they're not modifiable, they're just for display purposes only, okay? And that's the difference between the reports and forms. Both use the controls, same controls, but forms, most of the controls are editable, modifiable. You can type in them, you can make a selection, you can click on them. The reports, they're just for demonstration, for show and tell purposes only. So let me close that. All right, and in order to make this thing look better, I'm going to do some rearrangement, so some cosmetic work. So if you switch to the design view, for example, these are the labels on the page header, so they repeat themselves on the top of every page. I'm going to get rid of the underscore in last name, first name, and this thing, billing rate. Well, I need to make it bigger, right? Because it does not look good on the view. All right. So for that, probably I'm going to compress a little bit last name, first name, social security, and move them a little bit. So let's do the cosmetic work. So I'm going to select last name, first name, and I will make them a little smaller. Now I'm going to select first name. That would be label and text box. Make them a little smaller and move them closer to the last name. Social security number, select both of them, make them smaller, move them closer, like that. Position in the organization, I'm going to move to the left, and billing rate, select both of them, expand them a little bit, and now I'm going to click on the label. So these are text boxes, right? They are not supposed to be modifiable. In other words, if I modify, for example, billing rate, let's say I want to make it pretty, replace underscore with a space. When I go to the form view, it will tell me, well, I don't quite understand what you want to do with this. So I don't know what billing space rate is. So text boxes, just like before in forms, we're not supposed to touch them, right? Not supposed to modify this content, okay? But the labels we can modify in any way we like. So let's get rid of the underscore. Let's select all the labels, make them look, well, first of all, position everything in the center, make it bold, make it black, for example. Now employees listing I'm going to put in the center of the report and kind of make this section a little smaller. Well, let's see what that looks like. So I switch to the report view and it looks fine, except now I have alignment off, right? So last name and all the last names are supposed to be right under that. Well, maybe I should actually justify everything to the left. Let's try that. So I'm going to select all these text boxes and labels and make them, let's see, left justified, just like so. And yeah, now it looks better. Billing rate is a little off, right? So let's take a look at what's going on with billing rate. Okay, is it left justified? And is that left justified? Alright, that's supposed to look better now. Yeah, it does. Okay, so this is printable pretty much. Right now it looks more or less okay. And you can see that the listing of all possible views is actually larger, right? So there is a design view that we just used. Then there is a layout view, and we discussed earlier the layout view, okay? Layout view essentially is a middle ground between the report view, how it looks, and the design view when you design things, okay? So in the design view, you don't see the information, you see only controls and you can modify them. In the report view, you see only information and you don't see any controls. In the layout view, you see both information and the controls. And this line actually, probably this line indicates that this is where the cutoff of the page is going to be. So in other words, now if I want to print this, if I go to the print preview, section width is greater than the page width. So on the print preview you can see that here is my report that I wanted, but I can go to the second page and report spills over on the another page, right? So that's how it's going to come out on the printer. And that's because I expanded this section right earlier, so I shouldn't have done that. So I go back to the report and I to the design view and I make this section smaller. And now if I look at that on the layout view, still, right, this is the cutoff of the page. So I'm still, in the print preview will tell me the same thing. Okay, so I still need to make it smaller. Okay, where do I want to go? Design view probably, right? Okay, so what can I do? I can select all of these controls, move them to the left, and now make the form even smaller in terms of width. And now go to the layout view. Yep, that's the cutoff of the page. That's my right margin. And now if I go to the print preview, no complaints, and that's the only page. So this is how the report is going to come out on the printer. Again, this is a what you see is what you get environment. Okay, so that was a very simple report, very basic. I'm gonna save it. All right, and now in the next video that I will record, that probably is going to be the last video, well, we'll see. I'm going to create a billing summary. If you remember, we discussed that in our previous video. This is my goal, to create a printable billing statement which will be broken down by the client, right? Every client will have a separate billing statement, and the billing statement will contain few pieces of information. Over here it will contain client name and street, city, state, address, everything about the client. In the bulk of the report it will contain who did the work, when, for how long, what kind of work was done, what's their billing rate, and what's the subtotal for that work. And a listing of all instances when my employees did the work. And then at the bottom there should be total of the charges. Okay, so in the next video I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to create the billing summary report. Okay.